Chapter 1. You are listening at famvetv.info. Linchinji at the end of summer, dark clouds gather and the air is humid and sultry. There's no business in the coffee shop. It's too cold. A cold slender figure stands behind the bar. The dim yellow light, like the moonlight, shrouds her and casts her shadow. She half hung her head, a wisp of forehead hair falling, vaguely show straight nose, and two thick ink crow feather-like eyelashes. The skin as white as jade is a little pale, but it's still delicate and transparent. The whole person seems to be suffused with light. A baby face finished collecting the tableware and came over. Shaoli, I heard that you are leaving tomorrow. Ning Li nodded gently. Well. Then it's hard for us to meet again. The baby's face sighed and said nothing. They all know that Ning Li grew up with her grandmother when she was a child, but half a month ago, Granny Ning Li died of a heart attack. Thus, the custody of Ning Li fell to her mother. No one knows that her mother is still alive and married into a rich family. Moreover, it's only an hour's drive away from Lincheng. But I haven't seen you for so many years. Your mother must miss you very much. Baby face some dry said. Ning Li moves a meal, eyelashes slightly lift. It's a beautiful peach blossom eye with a hook on the outside and a curl on the inside. It's clean and bright, but the pupil is very black, heavy as dim night, adding a bit of coldness. The corners of her lips were bent, and there seemed to be a light rippling from the bottom of her eyes. Maybe. If there is a little miss, it is not as if it has never been seen for so many years. Her father Ning Haijo was born in an ordinary family. When he was young, he coaxed Su Yuan to marry him with a good face, but it doesn't last long. After her marriage, Ning Haijo has nothing to do and doesn't want to make progress. Su Yuan, who is arrogant, can't stand such a poor life. In a rage, she divorced and left when Ning Li was 6 years old. 1 month after she left, Ning Haijo was sentenced to life imprisonment for causing death by hit and run after drinking. Ning Li has been living with her grandmother ever since. Had it not been for the unexpected death of her grandmother, Ning Li felt that she might never have seen Su Yuan again in her life. No one will like such an oil bottle. This truth is understood by everyone. But in her last life, she was so naive, that she was so stupid that she was disfigured, slandered, lost everything and became infamous, that she was put under house arrest for a year and died in a sanatorium. When she woke up again, she found that she was 17 again. Fortunately, it's just the beginning. Baby face is a bit of an accident. When Ning Li talked about it earlier, he was always full of joy. How come today? I don't know why. It seems that Ning Li has changed a little since she had a high fever 3 days ago. The mobile phone in Ning Li's pocket vibrated. She took out a look. The screen is a string of phone numbers from Yunzhou. Her eyes slightly fixed, and then neatly cut off the phone, and set to silent. The wonderful way of baby face. Who? Ning Li doesn't think so. I don't know. It could be a harassment call. The baby's face clearly nodded, turned and went to the compartment to change clothes. Originally she was the night shift today, but there was something at home. Ning Li took the initiative to change shifts with her. She was very grateful. Ning Li, I'll go. Be careful when you go back later. Ning Li smiles and waves goodbye to her. It's getting darker. With a roar of thunder, pea-sized raindrops fell down with a crackle. Ning Li stayed in the shop for another 2 hours, and the clock pointed to 10 o'clock. She sat on a high stool, tore off a note paper and wrote something at will. Suddenly, a harsh car whistle came from outside the door. She looked up and saw that a black Cayenne was parked outside the door. She sat up slowly. The driver got down, opened an umbrella and came to the back door. A well-dressed woman came out and then walked into the coffee shop. Light and shadow interlace, reflecting a woman's excellent maintenance of the face. Just at this time, the look on this face is not good. Looking, she twisted her eyebrows and stared at Ning Li. She had seen a picture of Ning Li before. It was the first time for them to see each other for 11 years. In front of the girl wearing a simple black shirt, a delicate clavicle looming, cigarette gray pencil pants, outlines a straight slender legs. The appearance is clear and gorgeous, and there is a few indescribable loose between the eyebrows and eyes. The driver Zhou stood on one side, looking at Ning Li's eyes, a bit contemptible, coming in from his wife. Ning Li didn't even mean to get up and say hello. She felt alienated and indifferent all over her body. Is this the attitude towards one's mother? It's so ungracious. Su Yuan also felt this, and felt that she had no light on her face. But many years of rich family life has made her used to keep posture. She pauses, trying to keep her voice calm. Ningli, I just went to school. Director Zhang said you didn't go to school in recent days. Why are you here when you don't go to school? It took her a long time to find this place after many inquiries. Ningli closed the pen cover and said faintly. I've had a fever for 3 days, and it's only today. Besides, I'm in debt for my grandmother's funeral. I can't afford it until I come here to work. Su Yuan choked. I called you so many times just now, and you didn't answer it. Ningli picks up her eyebrows and takes out her mobile phone. Sure enough, she sees that there are more than a dozen missed calls on it, and suddenly says. I see. I thought it was a harassment call. Of course, there is no Su Yuan's number in her mobile phone. Su Yuan closed her eyes. When she left Linqing without looking back, she didn't want to come back. The marriage and the daughter are the past that she doesn't want to talk about. Ye's family has a head and a face in Yunzhou. She really made a lot of efforts to stand on her feet. Finally, Yi Ming's daughter, Yi Xi, accepted her and gave birth to another son, Yi Sheng. She thought she could live her life at ease, but she was once again stabbed by Ningli. She didn't want to come, but there was nothing she could do. Moreover, as soon as she sees Ningli, she can't help remembering the embarrassing past, which makes her unable to get close to Ningli in any case. You don't have to worry about these things. Go back and tidy up. Come back to Yunzhou with me tonight. Su Yuan's tone is beyond doubt, and then she turns around and goes out. Ningli suddenly said. I can't finish packing, I can't leave at night. Su Yuan looks back, a little impatient. What's in your house to clean up? Everything in Yunzhou is ready for you. You. I'm not used to using other people's things. Ningli interrupts her. Su Yuan's heart stopped, but before she came, she had already agreed with Yi Ming that she would go back in the evening. If it wasn't for Ningli, it would not have been delayed until this time. Wow, it's raining harder and harder outside. Zhou Hua took a look at the mobile phone and his face changed slightly. Madam, because of the heavy rain, the highway back to Yunzhou is closed. What? Su Yuan was surprised. Now, I'm afraid I can't go back. Ningli holds her cheek in one hand. There's really nothing to tidy up. She just doesn't want to leave tonight. On this day of my last life, it rained heavily in Yunzhou, and more than a dozen cars on the highway ran into the rear end, causing 3 deaths and 7 injuries. Ningli is one of the wounded. In that accident, Zhou Hua and Su Yuan were only lucky to get bruised, but Ningli broke her right hand directly and kept it for 3 months. Most importantly, since then, her right hand has lost part of its function. At that time, she felt that there was something wrong with the car. She wanted to check it, but she was told that the car had been scrapped and there was no place to check anything. Again, she won't take the risk again. Seeing that the situation has changed, Su Yuan can only say, I'll call home and stay here tonight. Zhou Hua, you can book a hotel. Yes. Ningli rode. I'm going home. Su Yuan is on the phone. She frowns at this sentence. Since Ningli insists, she has nothing to say, but she will never step into that broken place again. She folded her cape. Zhou Hua, take her back. Half an hour later, the Black Banquet opened into an old city. In recent years, the east of Linqing City has developed rapidly because it is next to Yunzhou. In contrast, the west of the city is crowded and dilapidated. Finally, the car stopped in front of an alley. This time, the rain has been much smaller. Dim streetlights, dimly visible on the narrow road. A pothole next to the two-building model dilapidated. Su Yuan only took a look, then she took back her sight in disgust. She sat there, motionless. I'll pick you up at 8 tomorrow morning. Ningli carries her black backpack, gets off the car neatly and turns to leave. Under the strong night, she holds an umbrella with one hand, and her back is thin, straight and proud. A white car passed by. Cheng Xie drove and asked lazily, I don't know what's good about this little Linqing. It's worth your coming once a month. After coming, I don't do anything else. I just hang out on this road. It's been almost a year. Do you really take me as your full-time driver? The man in the co-pilot's seat looked out of the window. His skin is very white, his black hair is drooping, the curve from the brow bone to the bridge of the nose is almost as perfect as sculpture, and the jawline is clean and sharp. He was wearing a black shirt. He untied 2 buttons at random to show his sexy Adam's apple. The 2 extreme colors of black and white are distinct, but they are perfectly integrated. It's obviously a very lazy and casual posture, and the eyebrows and eyes are noble and cold, showing the extreme sense of abstinence. He opened his mouth. Because he didn't sleep well last night, his low voice was a bit hoarse. Well, Qingxia people are really gorgeous, but with this ancestral temperament, I don't know who can serve. When he remembered what the Liu family had told him before, he coughed and said, I don't think that's the way to do it. It's been a year since that happened. I'd better go to see a psychiatrist. Before he had finished, he found the man sitting up slightly and looking out. He looked along and saw a familiar license plate. Well, isn't this Ye's car? It seems that I have come to pick up the little girl. Lu Huayu looked at the shadow of the road hidden in the alley, and it took him a long time to recover. Yi family. Qingxia shrugged. Yi Ming's wife now has a daughter born to her ex-husband. Now she is not an adult, and no one has raised her. The Yi family said that they would take her back. It's not serious recently. The little girl will have a hard time in the future. Lu Huai thought for a moment, and then suddenly asked. A few days later, it will be Mr. Cheng's 70th birthday. Have you sent the invitation to the Yi family? Qingxia shook his head. No, I'll go with you tomorrow. Qingxia slammed the steering wheel and looked at him strangely. It's just a Yi family. Wait a minute, you won't go to a little girl, will you? The light reflected, his face half bright and half dark, like a streamer dense, from that pair of thick eyes as deep as the sea across. He chuckled. Don't you mean the little girl is not raised? Listen to the full novel at famvetv.info, direct link in the description.